Have you ever wondered about the unsung heroes of the Bible? Today, let's unravel the story of Zipporah, a woman of resilience and mystery, standing firmly beside one of history's most renowned figures, Moses. Her story, veiled in the annals of time, reveals much about the strength behind the man of God who led a nation. Their story and thus destiny first begun in the land of Midian. Moses' arrival in Midian and his meeting with Zipporah mark a significant turning point in his life, a chapter filled with intrigue, cultural intersections, and profound changes. Moses, once a prince in Egypt, found himself a fugitive after killing an Egyptian. His flight to Midian was not just an escape, but a journey into an entirely different world. Midian, an Arab region located in the desert areas of southern Transjordan, northern Arabia, and the Sinai, was a place far removed from the grandeur of Egyptian civilization. Upon arriving in Midian, Moses, exhausted and probably bewildered, settled by a well. This well became the stage for a pivotal encounter. Here, he met Zipporah, one of the 7 daughters of Ruel, also known as Jethro, a priest of Midian. This meeting was no ordinary one. It was steeped in drama and acts of courage. Moses witnessed Zipporah and her sisters being harassed by shepherds and fearlessly intervened, driving the shepherds away and helping the women water their flock. This act of bravery left an impression on Zipporah and her family. When the daughters returned home and narrated the incident to Ruel, he was intrigued and invited Moses to their home, extending hospitality that was typical of the culture. This gesture was not just about kindness. It was an acknowledgement of Moses' valor and character. Ruel, a significant figure in his own right, was likely more than just a priest. He may have been a priest-king, a ruler among the Midianites. The Midianites, a people believed to be descendants of Abraham through his wife Keturah's son Midian, were known for their nomadic lifestyle. Ruel's decision to offer his daughter Zipporah in marriage to Moses was significant, indicating his respect and trust in Moses. The marriage of Moses and Zipporah was more than a union of 2 individuals. It symbolized a coming together of different cultures and faiths. Zipporah, marrying a man who had fled from Egypt, took on a life that was dramatically different from her nomadic upbringing. Their sons, Gershom and Eliezer, were born out of this union, each name reflecting Moses' journey and faith. Gershom means sojourner there. He was their first son, and Moses named him this, saying, "I have become a foreigner in a foreign land." Eliezer, his second son's name, means, "My God is my helper." Moses, meanwhile, adapted to life in Midian, tending to his father-in-law's flock. This period was a time of transformation for Moses, from a prince to a shepherd, an experience that prepared him for the monumental task that lay ahead. His encounter with God in the form of a burning bush, while living in Midian, set the stage for his return to Egypt and his role in leading the Israelites out of bondage. Zipporah's role in Moses' life was not limited to being a wife. She was a partner who faced the complexities of Moses' destiny with him. She wasn't just a footnote in Moses' life. She was a support system for the man of God. Zipporah's Midianite heritage made her an outsider to the Hebrews, yet her life became inextricably linked with their destiny through her marriage to Moses. Zipporah's support of Moses must be understood within the cultural and religious context of her time. Her actions, often behind the scenes, were crucial to Moses' journey. She provided him with stability and connection to a family at a time when he was transitioning from an Egyptian prince to a Hebrew leader. You see, there came a moment, a terrifying one, where Moses faced God's wrath. And who stood between him and divine fury? Zipporah. The text in Exodus 4 verses 24 to 26 suggests that Zipporah performed a circumcision of their son to ward off a divine threat against Moses. Her quick and decisive action potentially saved Moses' life and ensured the continuation of his mission. But why was God angry? Well, we will have to go back to the story of the patriarch Abraham. You see, when God called Abram and established a covenant with him, he changed his name to Abraham and gave him a sign of the covenant, circumcision. Moses later wrote this account in Genesis 17 verses 9 to 11. Then God said to Abraham, "As for you, you must keep my covenant, you and your descendants after you for the generations to come." "This is my covenant with you and your descendants after you, the covenant you are to keep. Every male among you shall be circumcised. You are to undergo circumcision, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and you." God was clear that, among Abraham's descendants, every male in every household was to be circumcised. No exceptions. "My covenant in your flesh is to be an everlasting covenant. Any uncircumcised male who has not been circumcised in the flesh will be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant." Genesis 17 verses 13 to 14. Moses, as a descendant of Abraham, had been circumcised, but for some reason, he had not circumcised his own son. It could be that Moses, as a shepherd in Midian for 40 years, had given up living like a Hebrew. Or perhaps he assumed he was already cut off from his people, so why bother with the sign of the covenant? The problem was that Moses was going to Egypt to rescue the circumcised people of God from the uncircumcised Egyptians. There was a sharp distinction between the slaves and the oppressors, but Moses, the leader of God's people, was blurring the distinction in his own family. Further, Moses was to be the lawgiver for Israel, and it would not do for the giver of the law to be a lawbreaker. For Moses to have an uncircumcised son would be blatantly hypocritical, and hypocrisy is never good in a national leader. Moses' personal life had to be in order before he could properly direct the spiritual lives of the Hebrew people. Whatever the cause of Moses' neglect of such an important rite, his sin made him unfit to serve as a spiritual leader. The situation had to be rectified before he could carry out his mission. However, various interpretations of this event have been proposed. Some view it as a confrontation between Zipporah's Midianite practices and the Israelite covenant of circumcision. Others see it as a moment of profound theological insight on Zipporah's part, recognizing the importance of the Abrahamic covenant. Zipporah's statement, "Surely you are a bridegroom of blood to me," following the circumcision, is extraordinarily puzzling and open to multiple interpretations. It could reflect her recognition of the significance of the covenant and her role in preserving it, despite the personal and cultural challenges this act may have posed. This exact event in Zipporah's story exemplifies the importance of obedience, courage, and the ability to act under pressure, demonstrating the essential role women play in fulfilling God's plan. But then, a twist in the tale emerges. The scriptures briefly mention a Cushite wife in Numbers 12 verses 1, whose existence caused Miriam and Aaron, the siblings of Moses, to talk against him. Who was she? Was Zipporah the same as this mysterious Cushite woman, or did Moses have another wife? Let's examine. The term Cushite in the Bible is often associated with Ethiopia, leading to the interpretation that Moses had a second wife from Ethiopia. However, this interpretation is not universally accepted, and there's a significant argument that Zipporah, Moses' Midianite wife, was the Cushite woman referred to in Numbers 12:1. The confusion arises partly from the geographical and historical understanding of the term Cush. In the Bible, Cush is used in various contexts, sometimes referring to regions in Mesopotamia, sometimes to parts of Arabia, and commonly to Ethiopia. The descendants of Cush, listed in Genesis 10, for example, include names corresponding to groups or places in the Arabian Peninsula, suggesting that parts of Arabia, including Midian, were associated with Cush. This geographical connection is further supported by references in the Bible where Midian and Cush are linked. For instance, Habakkuk 3 verses 7 mentions the tents of Cushan in distress alongside the dwellings of Midian, indicating a close association or even synonymity between Cushan and Midian. This implies that the term Cushite, as used in the Bible, may not exclusively refer to Ethiopian or African people, but could also include the Midianites. Furthermore, the story of Zipporah circumcising her son to save Moses' life in Exodus 4, verses 24 to 26, underscores her significant role and deep understanding of Moses' divine mission. This act, vital for the continuation of Moses' mission, highlights Zipporah's spiritual insight and dedication, qualities that align with the interpretation of her being the Cushite woman mentioned in Numbers 12, verses 1. In light of these interpretations, it is plausible that Zipporah was indeed the Cushite woman referred to in the Bible, and there might not have been a second marriage for Moses. This interpretation gains support from the understanding of the term Cushite, in a broader geographical and cultural context, beyond the conventional association with Ethiopia. However, as with many ancient texts, the lack of explicit details leaves room for different interpretations and scholarly debate. So, what can we take away from Zipporah's story? Her life was a tapestry of love, sacrifice, and spiritual insight. The debate over her identity and Moses' marriages adds layers to her enigma. Whether she was the only wife or one of two, her impact on Moses' life is undeniable. She stood by him through trials and tribulations, playing roles that went far beyond the traditional expectations of a wife. Zipporah's story is not just about her steadiness as Moses' wife. It's about her strength, her courage, and her profound understanding of a greater destiny. In the end, Zipporah remains an emblem of resilience, a testament to the power of faith and the unyielding spirit of a woman who stood steadfast beside a man on a divine mission. What do you think? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, please like and subscribe for more content just like this. Until next time.